Vaikuntha Shiromano Shri Krishnasya Vrindavana Dhanadami Tadadikare Vrishabhanu Putra Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Samasta Vaikuntha Shiromano Shri Krishnasya Vrindavanam Dhanyadhami Tadadikare Vrishabhanu Putra Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tvadagyaya Pallava Pushpa Vringa Mrighati Madhava Keli Kunja Shamana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Madhagyaya Vallabha Pushpa Vrinda Mrighadipir Madhava Keli Kunja Madhavibhir Bhakti Vibhushamana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Namaste Charanarvindam Padiyatu Tina Nikunjayuna Atyukta Yogini Vilasa Siddhi Tvatsubhagam Kela Nirochatam Tat Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Adiyatu Tena Nikunjayuna Atyutka Yogini Vilasa Siddhi Tvatsubhagam Kela Nirochatam Tat Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Rasabhilaso Vasatischa Vrindavane Tvadishangri Saroja Seva Labhya cha Pumsam Kripaya Taviva Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vilaso Vasatisha Vrindavane Tvadishangri Saroja Seva Labhya cha Pumsam Kripaya Taviva Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste se satvata tantra viti lila vidana Lila Krishna Shakti Tavev Murtis Tulasi Niloke Vrinde Namaste Charanaravinda Lila Vidana Vihina aparadalakshe Shiptascha kamadi tarangamadhe Kripamaitam sharanam prapanna Vrinde namaste charanaravinda Bhaktya Vihina Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Shri Radha Damodar ki jai, Vrinda Devi Tulsi Marani ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You can take the mic.
Madhura Mridangavadi Patala Madhura Mridangavadi Hari-dāsa-varya Gangabhade Gandhavade Madhur 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 Bhaje Gangabhade Gandhavade Madhur 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 Bhaje Gangabhade Gandhavade Madhur 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 Bhaje Hari-bol, 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 Gaur Hari-bol. Chandadini Madhana Ujjala Gala Deshivana Mala Kore Nalamala Shivo Shukanarada Preme Gadagaya Akati Vinoda Devi Gorasambara Akati Vinoda Devi Gorasambara Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Everyone please chant loudly. Hari-bol. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatashishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatashishimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Prense Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhana ki. Sri Vrindavan Mathura Dhama ki. Sri Mayapur Navadvip Dhama ki. Purushottam Kshetra Sri Jagannath Puri Dhama ki. Ganga Maji Jamuna Mai ki. Bhakti Devi Shrimati Tulsi Maharani ki. Their most beautiful lordship Shri Radha Damodhara ki. Shri Radha Damodhar Shrimati Lalita Shrimati Vishakha Devi ki. Sri Sri Gauranitai ki. Grantara Shrimam Bhagavatam ki. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishi Guru and Shigoranga. Here.
Sing.
Someone quick, bro.
Namaste Narashinhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadadahine. Praladadadahine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shila Tanka Nakalaye Ito Nashingo Parato Nashingo Yato Yato Yami Tato Nashingo Bahe Nashingo, Hridaye Nashingo Narashinga Madhim Charanam Prapadya Tavakara Kamala Vale Naka Adhuta Shinga Lalitadhiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavajita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narshinghade Jaya Narshinghade Jaya Narshinghade Jaya Narshinghade Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Looks like some people went home already, huh? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hadi Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hadi Gopi Jana Balabha Yadivada Dhati Gopi Jana Balabha Yadivada Dhati Jasodhanandana Brajajandaranjana Jasodhanandana Brajajandaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jamuna Tiravana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hadi
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranjana. Jasodhanandana Brajajanaranjana. Jamuna Tiravana Chadi. Jamuna Tiravana Chadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astatara Satasi Simadis Divine Grace is the Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Gaura Premanandi. Are all of you missing Garuda's association already? When we get Garuda's association again? I mean, that's how my mind is thinking. Probably some of you are also thinking the same. He told me something besides, our direct experience of his cascading humor. He shared with me that one of the places he uses a pun. I don't leave my nest too much. Nest and bird. But one of the places I have visited a few times is the Bhaktivedanta Manor. You know the Bhaktivedanta Manor. And apparently, from what I understood from that conversation, the wife of Yadubar, named Vishaka Devi, Prabhupada disciple and both Prabhupada disciples, the film Yadubar and Vishaka, she's the president. So when he has visited in Bhaktivedanta Manor, he noticed that Yadubar brought with him a whole box of tissues. And he asked Yadubar, I didn't know that you had a cold. He said, I don't have a cold. When I come to your class, I laugh so much. I start to cry. I need tissues. And Yadubar is Mr. Straight Man. Like, very serious inside and outside. Okay. We'll pretend that he's in the room and feel his presence vibrationally at least. So part 2 of the topic of Hari-dāsa-varya, or Govardhan Hill, the best of the servants of Hari-dāsa-varya. So we're going to just give a little summary of the Leela of Krishna's lifting of Govardhan Hill, such a celebrated pastime. So you saw this image before, that's Pulasya Muni carrying Govardhan Hill on his left hand. Pulasya Muni, as you heard in the morning, he's from Kashi. Kashi is a nice sacred place in India, and it's very flat, so he was going on pilgrimage, particularly in the mountains, and he went to Samali Dweep. We heard this not far from Bharat-varsha in Jambu Dweep, and there he saw Drone Achala, and he became very charmed with this beautiful hill. He requests the father to give his son in charity. And with intimidation, he did, because he was very attached to his son. And you know the story we heard that Govardhan agreed to go with him on the condition that once you put me down, that's it. I'm not going any further. So he agreed, Pulasya. And as he was passing over Vrindavan, he had to answer the call of nature, because Hari can help us and also precipitate the call of nature if he wants. So that's what happened. And he placed Govardhan down while he answered the call of nature, and Pulasya cursed him. All right, you're not going to move. You tricked me, but you're going to shrink the size of one sesame seed, or sometimes said mustard seed, every day for the rest of time. And so the height of Govardhan is diminishing. Previously it was really high. 29 kilometers, or 2 yojanas, or 16 miles, depending on what standard of measure you like. 29 kilometers tall. It's a tall mountain. Now the tallest point, it's 80 feet. So there's another image of Pulasya carrying Govardhan Hill. So here's the translation of that verse that we know from Hari-dāsa-varya verse of Venu Gita. Of all the devotees, this Govardhan Hill is the best. The gopis pray, "Oh my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram, along with their calves, cows, and cowherd friends, with all kinds of necessities. Water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respect to the Lord." So this is apparently the rainy season, where some water has been accumulated, but previously there were waterfalls coming down the side of Govardhan Hill, adding to the beauty of the hill. Here's a nice painting showing some of the caves where Radha and Krishna would sit in seclusion and enjoy their pastimes together. Govardhan also features soft roots for eating, jewels for ornamenting the body, and flat places for sitting, which Radha and Krishna would sometimes take advantage of, sitting on the flat places at Govardhan Hill. There's a nice similar painting, Krishna sitting on a flat stone, and Radha is enjoying Krishna's flute playing, and there's the cows pasturing on the side of Govardhan Hill. Another nice painting, Krishna's enjoying with Radha at the foothills of Govardhan Hill, up on top at the nice temple behind both of them. In this way, the hill offers respects to the Lord. So here's that same aerial photo of Govardhan Hill, not cluttered all around by all the images of pastimes, but you can see there's the Govardhan town right at the center, that's like the central torso of the peacock, his long punch or tail goes over to the left. It's actually a vertical north and south direction. And look closely, you can see the Radhakund Shamakund. That's the head of the peacock, the two eyes of the peacock. And it's as if like a peacock is sitting on the branch of a tree with his tail dangling, looking at it this angle at least. And all those lighter colored structures in the center, that's the rooftops in Govardhan. And otherwise, Anior is down further to the lower left. Anior is one of the places of the Govardhan Leela. We'll hear about that town shortly. And then going up the other side. To walk around Govardhan Hill, of course, depends on how fast you walk. But commonly 5.5, 6 hours is common. That's if you walk at a reasonable pace and don't stop, just walk around chanting japa and doing what people do when they walk around Govardhan Hill. So it's a big hill. So one fine day, Krishna noticed that his father, Nanda Maharaj, was making an arrangement for a big festival. And so he came before, he's a little boy, and Nanda Maharaj is the king of the cowherds, so he had privileges, and he just came to his father with the other senior persons and asked his father, what was the paraphernalia for the festival in the front part of the painting. Please tell me, what is this festival? And his father, there's different versions, but his father said, it's a festival, you don't need to worry about it. But Krishna was persistent. Sometimes children are very persistent when they want to know something. So his father explained, we're cowherds, and we're dependent upon, for our agriculture and cow protection, we're dependent upon rain, and the one who supplies the rain is Indra. And this season, he has supplied plentiful rain, so we have plentiful food for the cows and plentiful vegetables, and so we're going to perform a yajna for Indra, an Indra yajna, or Indra puja, to say thank you for all of that you have, nice service that you've done. So, hearing all of this is now going straight to chapter 24 of Canto 10. He addressed his father as follows to arouse anger in Indra. So Sridhar Swami makes a comment on this verse. Krishna's intention in inciting the anger of Indra was to knock down the great mountain of false pride that had arisen within the Lord's tiny servant, who was supposed to represent the Lord as Indra. Contemplating the excessive pride in Indra, Krishna desired to curb his pride. So Krishna gave some logical explanation to his father. Since Lord Indra cannot in any way change the destiny of human beings, which is born of their own nature, why should people worship him? So rather than worshiping rather than worshiping Indra, we should worship Govardhan Hill. Make a sacrifice for the pleasure of the cows, brahmanas, and Govardhan Hill. With all the paraphernalia collected for worshiping Indra, worship Govardhan Hill instead. Let many different kinds of food be cooked, from sweet rice to vegetable soups. Many kinds of fancy cakes, both baked and fried, should be prepared, and all the available milk products should be taken to the sacrifice. all the milk products taken to the sacrifice. The Brahmanas, who are learned in Vedic mantras, must properly invoke the sacrificial fires. Then you should feed the priests with nicely prepared food and reward them with cows and other gifts. After giving food to everyone else, including such fallen souls as dogs and dog eaters, you should give grass to the cows. And then present your respectful offerings to Govardhan Hill. Brahmanas, cows, and Govardhan Hill. O Brahmana Hitaya Cha. After everyone has eaten to his satisfaction, you should all dress and decorate yourselves handsomely, and then circumambulate the cows, Brahmanas, the sacrificial fires, and Govardhan Hill. It's a nice painting. Krishna is pointing to Govardhan Hill, and he's calling the shots, like the general coordinator. And of course, he's speaking to the king of the cowherds, his father. But they had so much love for Krishna. I mean, there's one version that father said, he smiled and said, very nice idea. We'll do half of what you said, and the other half goes to Indra. And Krishna insisted, no. I want to curb the pride of Indra. So everything goes to these ways I described. The cowherd community then did all that Madhusudana had suggested. There they're performing Abhishek of Govardhan Shila. They arranged for the Brahmanas to recite auspicious Vedic mantras. Using the paraphernalia that had been intended for Indra's sacrifice, they presented offerings to Govardhan Hill and to the Brahmanas. With reverential respect, they also gave grass to the cows. Looks like not just grass, looks like jalebis or something. Well-fed cows. Then, placing the cows, bulls, and calves in front of them, they circumambulated Govardhan Hill. Now here's this pretty fancy cowshed, Goshaal, isn't it? Look at this one. Fit for the cows of Vrindavan. Looks like a palace. So there they go, circumambulating Govardhan Hill. The Brahmanas are doing their yajna and so forth and so on. And around Govardhan Hill they go. And now comes time for the Anukut. So Krishna had a plan all along. It's curb the pride of Indra, but other things. And there's the place where they performed the yajna. Now, the yajna, this area is before the village of Anior. You saw in the aerial photo on the eastern side of Govardhan Hill, there's a town, like a community, called Anior, and it's connected with the pastime. Krishna then assumed an unprecedented, huge form to instill faith in the cowherd men, declaring, I am Govardhan Mountain. There they're doing the yajna and making offerings to the fire and offering the anukut, meaning the cooked foods, on big plates before the hill. So to reassure them, this isn't just child play. Govardhan Hill is Krishna. So he then announced, I am Govardhan Hill. And then most remarkably, Krishna came before Hari, who was to accept all the offerings, and Krishna paid obeisances to Hari. So there's Krishna offering obeisances to Krishna before Krishna. Pretty special. And as he did, they also did. Just see how this hill has appeared in person and bestowed mercy upon us. And when all those offerings, this big pile of rice and milk preparations and vegetables and so forth and so on, he ate everything. He didn't just like leave some mahaprasadam. It was all gone. And after eating everything, he called out loudly, Aniyor! Aniyor! What's that mean? I want more. So they heard him say this, so they brought more, and they brought more, they brought more. It was a big problem because all the storerooms were now empty. What to do? He wants more. They want to serve Hari. You know what the solution was, right? A tulsi leaf. He was offered a tulsi leaf. He's satisfied. However, upstairs, Indra knew what was going on. He watched the whole thing. There was a sacrifice for him. And this little boy, the son of Nanda Maharaj, and the cowherd men, they listened to little Krishna, and instead of accepting him as their Indra or Lord, they accepted Krishna. So he became upset. As you can see, the sun hiding behind the cloud. It's like when Indra gets mad. Angry Indra sent forth clouds of universal destruction, known as Samvartika. Samvartika. Now this is not working. What's going on? The sound system? There's a recording of lightning and thunder. That's you've seen the lower left corner, but Vangsidhari is the magician. He's going to make it work. Real tech? Yes? Oh. Let's go back. Technology is great when it works, but sometimes, at least for me, it doesn't always work. Uma, you want to fix it? No. Oh, okay, okay. It was going pretty well until we hit this snafu. There we go. Well, you know what the sound is, you know what the picture is. Let's try one more time. One more time. Don't blink. Rainy season in India. Anyway, you get the idea. Indra's doing his thing. Samvartaka. Samvartaka. The Samvartaka means it's a particular type of cloud that's used only at the time of universal devastation. There are different clouds. On Indra's order, clouds of universal destruction, released untimely from their bonds, went to the cowherd pastures of Nanda Maharaj. They began to torment the inhabitants. Get the picture? Tormenting the inhabitants by powerfully pouring down torrents of rain upon them. And it's said that the rain didn't stop and didn't stop, but it became like the time of devastation when everything gets flooded. So the whole of Vrindavan was flooded, and the flood was rising. And the people were panicking. You know, it's very dangerous. So Krishna said, don't worry, I'll take care of the problem. And he just picked up Govardhan Hill. Here's our BBT painting, which we're very familiar with. There's the lightning in the background, and everyone, all eyes are on Krishna. There's some of the cowherd men sticking their cowherd sticks up in the air, thinking Krishna's going to need some help to lift this hill. Here's another. Krishna motioned to them to get underneath the hill. They're drowning in the water. So he's protecting. And you see over in the upper kind of center, that's the Sudarshan chakra. There's one description that if it's flooding all over the place and he's lifting Govardhan Hill, they get under Govardhan Hill. How come the Govardhan Hill didn't flood underneath Govardhan Hill? That's a reasonable question. And the answer is Krishna released his Sudarshan chakra to zoom, zoom, zoom around Govardhan Hill and dry up all the water so it wouldn't go underneath Govardhan Hill. And that's what the painting is meant to show. Lord Krishna, who is Vishnu himself, picked up Govardhan Hill with one hand and held it aloft just as easily as a child holds up a mushroom. The Lord then addressed the cowherd community. O mother, O father, O residents of Braja, if you wish, you may now come under this hill with your cows. So, there's the hill that got a little smaller. And of course, Krishna's standing on a little bit of a mound because he's only this 7-year-old boy, and they're tall adults, so he's got to stand up on a little bit of a platform. And other nice paintings of the same pastime. Of course, there's many, many, many such paintings of this. There's the Sudarshan chakra again. And there's the residents getting underneath the hill. And of course, in all these paintings, you take notice, there's Balaram, it's just, he really likes what Krishna's doing. It's cool. He looks pretty relaxed too. By continuously drinking the nectar of the beauty and sweetness of Sri Krishna, the resident of Vrindavan felt no hunger, thirst, or fatigue. And Lord Krishna, seeing their beautiful forms, also forgot about eating, drinking, and sleeping. Doesn't sound like a normal 7-year-old boy. But that's our Krishna. So this is a half of a painting showing the other half is, look at this, deer or some animals up on the hill. You should have no fear that this mountain will fall from my hand. Whoops. And don't be afraid of the wind and rain, for your deliverance from these afflictions has already been arranged. Wow, it's going on its own. Their minds, thus pacified by Lord Krishna, they all entered beneath the hill, where they found ample room for themselves and all their cows, wagons, servants, and priests, and for all other members of the community as well. Lord Krishna, forgetting hunger and thirst and putting aside all considerations of personal pleasure, stood there holding the hill for 7 days as the people of Vraja gazed upon him. Now they were so immersed in seeing the beautiful form of Krishna, they forgot everything. Seeing the beautiful form of Krishna so directly and so intimately while he's protecting them. Who knows what their emotions were? Certainly transcendental. Lord Krishna held up the mountain while his praises were chanted by the residents of Vrindavan, all of whom now had the opportunity to dwell together with him, because commonly they're at different times of the day, Krishna's at different places doing different things. So someone gets his association during this time of the day and then he's gone. And then someone gets his association over there and he's gone. But this is a situation for 7 days. He doesn't go. He's standing there holding the hill. And they're standing there completely amazed and gawking at this beautiful young boy with joyful and amazed eyes. Thus the cowherd men and women were all elated, and out of loving affection, they opened their eyes wide. Now there's so many paintings of Govardhan Leela. There's one of them. There's you see Indra upstairs, making, still the rain is coming. Krishna's lifting of Govardhan Hill is full of fascinating details and has for thousands of years remained one of his most famous pastimes. Along with playing his flute, this Govardhan Leela is so famous. Look at this little cowherd boy, he looks like a midget. Ordinarily, a large cowherd community, which includes many thousands of cows, calves, and bulls, and so on, could not fit under the base of a medium-sized hill like Sri Govardhan. But you remember from what we discussed in the morning, and we're going to hear some more tomorrow about the potencies of the personality of Godhead in the form of the Dham, or anything he wants can expand or shrink any way he wants. There's no limitation. The unlimited has no limits. It's kind of a no-brainer. However, because the hill was in ecstasy, being touched by the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the hill, acquired inconceivable power and even felt the hundreds of deadly thunderbolts thrown upon its back by angry Indra to be offerings of soft, fragrant flowers. We can guess who that little girl is with a lotus flower in her hand, standing right in front of Krishna, Nanda and Jasoda, and other cowherd boys playing musical instruments. And at times, Govardhan Hill was not even aware that the thunderbolts were striking. While Indra's attack began and Krishna lifted the hill, the deer, wild hogs, and other animals and birds standing on the hill's flanks climbed up to its peaks, and even they did not experience the slightest distress. So as we noticed, there were some animals on the side of Govardhan Hill, but they were somehow protected. The inhabitants of Vrindavan and their animals remained there for 1 week without being disturbed by hunger, thirst, or any other discomfort. So Indra's going to have an uh-oh experience. Uh-oh. He became most astonished, pulled down from his platform of false prestige, false pride, and his intentions thwarted, he ordered the clouds to desist. Here comes the sun, right? So the clouds receded, the sun came out. And when the sun came out, Krishna then instructed the cowherd village people, please go out with your wives, children, and possessions. Give up your fear. The wind and rain has stopped, and the river's high waters has subsided. Krishna's flute, right? With a little musical accompaniment. After Krishna had lifted Govardhan hill, there's Indra paying obeisances on the back of Airavata behind him, and thus protected the inhabitants of Braja from the terrible rainfall. Surabhi, the mother of the cows, came from her planet to see Krishna. She was accompanied by Indra. So there's several paintings depicting Airavata's carried with him in his trunk some celestial waters, and there he's giving Krishna a celestial water bath from the trunk. And similarly in this painting. And this is the European BBT. When you see paintings that look like this, they redid Krishna book. And they redid all the paintings in Krishna book. So there's this same style, European BBT. Having appealed to Lord Krishna, Mother Surabhi, as you see in the painting, she performed his bathing ceremony with her own milk. So he's getting a double abhishek. She had, some others are spraying Krishna's body with milk. Airavata spraying Krishna's body with his trunk, Ganges water. Ordered by Aditi and other mothers of the demigods, Indra anointed the Lord with heavenly Ganges water from the trunk of Indra's elephant carrier Airavata. In the company of the demigods and great sages, Indra coronated Krishna, while Surabhi gave him the name Govinda. The Surabhi, because Indra is indicating he has the position of the Lord, Indra. But Surabhi said, he's not the Lord. Krishna is our Lord. And so we're going to rename him. He's our Indra. He's Govinda, the master of the cows. So there's Indra riding his elephant. There's Govardhan hill smiling. Another nice Govardhan Shila. So the pastime of Krishna's lifting of Govardhan hill is celebrated because he curbed the pride of Indra. There are many other things that happened afterwards, this is our last slide, by the way. Because Krishna then wanted to display a pastime. He, as we heard in Garuda's discussion, Krishna doesn't like pride in the hearts of his devotees. So he has different ways of dealing with it. One is with the gopis, he just disappeared. With Indra, he curbed his pride altogether. Probably a little bit of a harder case person. But he also wanted to show his prowess in protecting the devotees. So the devotees imagine their level of purity, the level of Krishna consciousness. When there's any problem, they don't have to think about it. They don't just go to problem solving, they call for Krishna. They make practical arrangements. Like here's a nice practical arrangement. Many of you know there's a nice pastime where the earliest of the pastimes that where Krishna was attacked by a demon happened in the eastern side of the river Jamuna, a place called Gokula. So when we go to Vrindavan, we'll visit that part of Vrindavan also, Gokula. And Gokula has a place, so the palace of Nandagram in his ancestral home is on the western side, inland quite some distance, 3-4 kilometers inland. But on the eastern side, there's a little hillock. And for the most part, ISKCON devotee pilgrims don't go there because the persons in charge are very harsh. And they only want one thing. And guess what that one thing is? It's just like they're obnoxious. So generally devotees don't go there. I've never been there. But in the area is where demons were killed, this one, that one, the other one. And it was so disturbing that they had a village elder conference. And they decided, too many disturbances, too many demons, let's return back to our ancestral home. They had come to the eastern side because there were no children. Now there were children, and now they're being harassed, so they moved back to their ancestral home, Nandagram. And Vrishabhanu in his palace, Varsana, because they were close friends. Krishna's parents and Radharani's parents. So they moved back. And it's during this period of time when they moved back that the Govardhan Hill lifting took place, because Govardhan Hill is on that side. Plus he's a little older, 4 years older. When we visit Vrindavan, we'll go to Govardhan Hill, and the place where Surabhi offered her milk was on the eastern side of Govardhan Hill. So there's Govinda Kund, where she named Krishna as Govinda, and she filled this area with her milk, and today it's Govinda Kund. And exactly on the other side of Govardhan Hill is a place where it's Airavata Kund, and it's said on that side of the hill, that's where Airavata bathed Krishna with the water from the Ganges, from his trunk. Now, how do we know that? We know that by the revelation of these great devotees that were requested by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to restore the places of Krishna's pastimes that were lost. Just like, how do we know where is Radha Kund? We know where was Radha Kund because Lord Chaitanya declared, this is Radha Kund. That's it became Radha Kund. Although it didn't look like Radha Kund looks today, and there's a whole other wonderful pastime of how Radha Kund, as it looks today, was established. Raghunath Das Goswami. So what we probably, since the last time I was in India, many things are going to look different. I'm sure, because it always looks different. They're building and restoring and taking all the donations that come from the tourists and build and make it fancy, and the original look is gone. Here's two for examples. One, for example, is Srila Prabhupada took the devotees to Vrindavan personally in 1972, something like that, 1972. And there was a celebrated 1 month that Prabhupada stayed in his rooms at the Radha Damodar temple, and he held this celebrated, Nectar of Devotion series just by the side of, as you're looking at the altar of Radha Damodar, on the right side there was a courtyard, and the courtyard is the Bhajan Kutir and the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami, celebrated place. And so overlooking that, was where Prabhupada sat with his back to where the side of the altar is. The devotees sat in front of him, and for 1 month he gave lecture on Nectar of Devotion, celebrated Nectar Devotion series shortly after the book had been released. And the next Vrindavan Mayapur Parikram, I was fortunate to be on that one. I think it was 73, because this Prabhupada was speaking was in October of 72. So in 73, we were taken around by Guru Das, because he was the president of Vrindavan at the time that Prabhupada was there, and so he knew all the places. So I remember very clearly, he took us to a place that's behind the temple. So there's the courtyard in front of the temple. There's the altar with Radha Damodar and other deities on the altar. And then there used to be a way to circumambulate around the altar outside. And then he showed us a place where there was a big stone slab, and the big stone slab was covering what was like a cave. And he said, Prabhupada told us that the 6 Goswamis, in the summer in Vrindavan, it gets so hot, they would all gather in the temple of Radha Damodar, which was the deity that was being worshipped by Jiva Goswami, and the 6 Goswamis would come together in the back side, because it was like very cool. It was like their system for air conditioning. There wasn't lots of light, but it was very cool. And they would sit for some time and discuss Krishna Katha, the books they were writing and the things that they were doing, and discussing Krishna consciousness and plans for spreading Krishna consciousness. And then you keep going around, and there was the courtyard, and it was very clear. This is the way it was. But that place, you can't circumambulate around the temple in the same way. That cool, semi-underground place isn't accessible anymore. It's just not accessible. And then there's this other nice structure that went up since then, and you can't fully see the way it was when 1972, 1973, because other structures have been established. And it's just, it's not the same. The Samadhi and Bhajan Kutir are there, but it's not the same. I feel sad when I see it. It's nice, it feels sad, on the other hand. The simplicity of Vrindavan is missing in some cases. That's one of them. So, the lifting of Govardhan was complete, and Indra came, and Indra offered his prayers. Krishna accepted his prayers. He just remained silent, unblinking eyes, just listened, didn't say boo, just listened, and then sent Indra back, with his pride smashed and his lesson learned. Don't be proud. Now, Krishna has different ways of helping each of us understand how we may be a victim of pride, or that harboring some pride of one kind or another. And as we heard, so just saying it again, pride blocks the ability to have a personal relationship with Krishna. The personal relationship with Krishna isn't nullified, it's eternal. But it's blocked when there's pride in the heart. And Krishna doesn't like that. So he may do with us whatever he may do, but sometimes there's a little difficulty, and one of those difficulties may be because there's pride in the heart, and Krishna's helping relieve us of that pride. I like, because what he shared with us here in the temple room, he shared with me also during lunch. Srivatsa Goswami at the Radha Raman temple, who he went to Harvard University with, said, I know why that monkey confronted you, to curb your pride. Because now you're a big professor getting recognition, and it takes a monkey to curb your pride. And they all laughed. But Krishna may take care of helping us to become pride-less, what to speak of pride-free, in different ways. And sometimes it hurts, but on the other side, it's liberating of a burden that we may be carrying. It's not that reason only that some difficulty may come to a devotee. There may be different reasons, but that's one reason, not to be discounted. There's pride in the heart, and Krishna is helping us become free. He's very kind. Okay, so I've finished our little presentation for this evening. And when we started the class, there were fewer people here than now. I thought many persons had gone. And probably some people have gone, but you're all still here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And from experience, there's lots of questions. So let's see if we can go down the lots of questions path and see what happens. Shri Rupa.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
How many times have you circumambulated Govardhan Hill?
Maybe 3, maybe.
At least 3?
Yeah, I think so.
More, come on. May you live a long life. Circumambulating Govardhan Hill. Each time you go to Vrindavan. Okay? Whatever else you may do. Go ahead.
I had a question about pride.
Pride.
Yeah, I feel like my existence is made up of pride. And so often I have prideful thoughts and I'm just suppressing them in my mind. And you were saying about Krishna putting us in difficult situations. How can I make sure that I don't just go through the difficult situation, just, feeling embarrassed, but then not changing internally and becoming humble instead of just being embarrassed?
Well, one of the best ways is to associate with those who are humble. Because the tendency would be to continue to, continue. Some tendency to continue that same tendency again and again. And, so association with humble devotees, sincere and humble devotees, and chanting attentive japa, and that's a really good way to find out, where there's distractions, is try to chant without distractions. So, in the Shikshastaka is the very first one, Trinadapi Sunichena. So by the force of instruction, by the force of effort, by the descending mercy, by the association of devotees, and and the recognition that this is a prevalent contamination, and just for what we've done so far. I mean, what Garuda did already with his section of the Bhagavatam, and then here again, and then the very first one that we discussed, Shankhachuda. It's the Bhagavatam is teaching us again and again. So if we hear the Bhagavatam in a proper way, we'll understand the necessity of letting go of such tendency. But how do we let go of it? Because this is kind of your question. If I know I have that tendency, how can I ensure, circling back, the sadhana of chanting with attention, and the distraction tendency takes away our attention. So bring the mind, abhyasa, continue to practice. If you can chant, as you practice chanting attentively, you do kirtan nicely. You have certainly a very nice singing voice, as many persons compliment, so now you can get proud about you have a nice singing voice. But Krishna has given you, so then you use that in Krishna's service, and that's how you overcome it. And the credit goes to Krishna, who gave that gift. But then, so kirtan and japa in a way that is with the proper mood. It's, as we heard, calling. And our reciprocating with Krishna's kindness to make himself available, and calling in that mood. So entering into a devotional mood will be the antidote or cure for pride. And then the other side is the pride. It blocks the fullness of the chanting. So we're kind of stuck. The mood of humble service on the order of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers to do so. And if you don't, you get banged in the head. A reminder. And when you get banged in the head, oh, thank you. Not, complaining. Why'd you bang me in the head, Krishna? Humble service, hallmark of a devotee. Subal.
Sure, but Swami, I wanted to ask you about Krishna's tolerance of Indra.
His tolerance or intolerance
of Indra. I mean, thinking that it's such a responsible position that Indra holds in service of Krishna. And there's so many. I mean, the Bhagavatam is one chapter after another. Indra is making
He's got some problems, that fellow.
Yes. But Krishna still supports, it seems that constantly supporting. Even Indra turning against him is still. Even after Govardhan, then we hear a little later that Indra attacks Krishna when he takes a parijata tree. So this type of tolerance, Krishna with someone that is responsible in his service, but is failing in so many ways. How can we understand that? Sometimes we see Prabhupada being very supportive of his temple presidents and leaders, even when they commit all kinds of...
But he would also be very strict and strong. Just this morning, hearing Prabhupada shaking a stick. He didn't whack anybody, but he was shaking a stick in class, with his words about the duty of the spiritual masters to chastise. Then he told some stories of one who was patting rather than chastising, and the child was spoiled. He gave personal examples, scriptural examples. He was speaking in the class. It's the duty of the spiritual master to chastise, because if one doesn't, so Krishna may do that, and it doesn't mean because Krishna did that someone who has great opulence is going to understand it and never become proud again. The tendency is so he's not a pure devotee. He's a devotee, he'd exalt the devotee, but he's not a pure devotee, and so a tendency to resume comes back again, even in the face of the Supreme Pure, just like us. We're chanting the holy name and worshiping the deity and engaged in the bhakti process that's all pure, and somehow we're taking a long time. to become pure, getting messages and learning our lessons and going back and doing it again. It's just a smaller scale than Indra, but because his opulence is so great, the tendency to be proud is also great. And forgetful. That goes along with the pride. And offensive. That goes along with the pride and forgetful. So the solution isn't, whatever you do, don't become Indra. Because with that territory comes so much this and that and the other thing that you can get really messed up. Whatever may come by Krishna's grace to someone, a singing ability or a cooking ability or a dancing ability or a something ability, it's bestowed by Krishna, and we're not meant to be the enjoyer of it. But there's a tendency to be the enjoyer, or as Sri Rupa was just saying, the tendency to be proud. Like Sudama Brahman, Krishna's so kind. He didn't ask me why he went all the way to Dwarka, because if I did, he'd tell, and then if he told me, then he'd give me opulence and I would become proud. Oh, I'm Krishna's favorite. I got so much opulence now. So Krishna knew I would become puffed up. So Krishna didn't even ask me. And then when he came and he saw, so he didn't, but his heart was disinclined. It's an important, I'll spend a little bit of time on this. It's an important, it came in the story of Prahlad. I don't know if you heard the recordings, but in the prayers of Prahlad to Lord Nrsingadev, the prayers of Prahlad to Lord Nrsingadev are chapter 9, and he finishes the prayers before the end of chapter 9. And at the end of chapter 9, Lord Nrsingadev said, "You please me very much by your devotion. Please accept a benediction." And the end of the chapter, Prahlad says, "Thanks, but no thanks." He declines. He refuses. And then Lord Sukadeva Goswami explains that Lord Nrsingadev says, although I know you have a tendency to want to be the enjoyer, he had the tendency to be the enjoyer. He was a pure devotee, but a tendency was checked by bhakti and his unwillingness to accept the opulence even when it came. But Indra accepts the opulence. Persons that attain heaven, they want. What to speak of the opulence of the King of Heaven, they want. And so it's easy to become contaminated. It's not a surprise. They want to be the enjoyer of heaven, and what to speak of the King of Heaven. So even he gets lessons, and his curved tail straightens out. It curves again because of the position. So what to do? So let's take Prabhupada's position, or someone that gets many honors. Now what's that person going to do? Going to go to their head, unless they're a pure devotee. Because the tendency of being in the material world is to want to have all those things. Otherwise you wouldn't be in the material world. Otherwise Indra wouldn't be in Indraloka. He'd be in Vaikuntha. So there's a tendency. And when the desired object comes, to be the enjoyer of the desired object. That's why one takes a material body. Tendency. then there's their protection. So Krishna was giving him protection by curbing his pride. No, your question is, how can you do it again after the lesson? What's our lesson to understand Indra's not getting his lesson? The hankering for opulence is not a good idea. Although it may look attractive to people who want opulence and who get opulence. It's not a good idea. So what do? Aspire for poverty? Aspire for pure devotion. That's Prahlad. Although he had the tendency, he didn't indulge himself. That's pure devotion. So therefore, Lord Nrsimhadev said to him, I want you to become the successor to Hiranyakashipu. You become the king of the demons. Lovely, huh? And all the opulence that was Hiranyakashipu's is now your opulence. He didn't take away his opulence, he just took away his life and his wicked soldiers. So you're the king of the demons and you have his opulence. Enjoy his opulence. That was an instruction. But you'll be protected from the tendency to be forgetful of me by constantly remember me and chanting my name and chanting my glories. You'll be protected by devotional service, by the process of hearing, chanting, and remembering. That's our protection. So Indra was wanting to have Indra Yagya on Indraloka, and thus offend Brahaspati, and other things that he didn't get. His tendency was too strong. Material tendency was too strong. Even when getting smashed. Beware of the tendency to be an enjoyer, or the pridefulness that comes along with having the facility that one wanted, and then it's bestowed. It's subtle, but it affects everybody. It affects everybody in the material world. So there's lessons. Way in the back, there's some ladies with their hands up. Oh, I forgot something important. We'll take 3 questions. I saw 3 hands. And I forgot about the song. There's a nice song. We're going to hear a nice song.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. So Maharaj, I'm a mother of 2 children, and just being a mother, in order to encourage them and appreciate their capabilities and abilities, I often tell them that I'm very proud of them. And in recent times, I've been reflecting if whatever I'm messaging to my children, is that appropriate? Because just using the words proud, I don't know how are they perceiving it, how are they reading it. So I'm just trying to understand from you, Maharaj, that as a parent who wants to encourage their children and even show appreciation,
yes,
what should the language be? And
well, my answer to a question like this is it depends. Depends on you, depends on the child, depends on the circumstances. It depends. And, parenting isn't an easy service because there's another living entity, not besides you. There's another living entity with another will, another set of free will choices, and you're in a relationship as parent and child. And your responsibility is to help them become wholesome. So it takes a lot of intelligence and a lot of affection, but affection that's not, stifling. It's affection that's properly executed. So therefore, that's the intelligence part. The intelligence plus affection. So you want to encourage them, and you want to have affection so that they can receive from you, because without affection, how can they receive from you? There may be obedience, but not affection. Not necessarily affection. So, it depends. Encouraging, and at the same time guiding. And because being the mother, you're in a better position than someone who's not the mother to understand the mood of your child. When the child does this or doesn't do this, when the child says this or doesn't, you're tuned in. But, not so tuned in that you're attached to the physical, but you're connected. So the best way to teach is by being Krishna conscious, and then you get the intelligence. How to encourage, but not puff them up. Good luck. And you have a certain number of years in the relationship with their little and you're, big, physically, and then they're going to start making independent decisions. Some little children start making independent decisions at a really early age. As mom says this and they say no. I've seen that. What are you going to do? They have a will of their own. So affection is needed. The no can become a yes with affection. But not so much affection that you're overly attached and they know it and they can start manipulating your emotions. Anyway, not necessarily maliciously, but subconsciously. So it's a nice service being a mother or being in charge of a dependent of one kind or another. Maybe someday you'll become a spiritual master and try that one out for a while. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question was related to when Krishna was holding the Govardhan hill. You said that he became so powerful that even when the thunderbolts were falling, it felt like flowers.
Thunderbolts are powerful. Yeah.
And even in terms of other personalities, like we have Ritrasur, when he goes in the battle with Indra, his attention is only towards the Lord, and he knows, this duel or this battle is just for that. So in life, I want to understand, how do I feel that the thunderbolts are like flowers when I'm going through the difficulty? Am I not holding Krishna's hand properly, or am I not realizing his grace?
Well, the answer to that is simple. That getting there is not so simple. It's ecstasy. The beginning starts with tolerance, and then, but as Krishna consciousness, so it actually feels like flowers. It's ecstasy. That which appears to be painful is an ecstasy for the person who is in ecstasy. It's just part of the ecstasy. So until then, we tolerate this and that, and be in your relationship with Krishna more strongly, because that's another one of the messages. I'm feeling something other than flowers, because my connection with Krishna is not what it could be, should be, is meant to be. It's a very simple answer. It may not be so satisfying, but that's how you can get to that stage. And because Govardhan is Govardhan, as we hear, even the animals on Govardhan Hill were not feeling any discomfort. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Just want to say, first of all, I'm very grateful for this retreat and for you bringing us all together, transporting us to Vrindavan. Now,
We have one more day. Go ahead.
with that being said, I have a problem. Despite philosophically knowing that Krishna consciousness is the topmost thing, and despite experiencing it in this retreat and going to the Dham,
etc.
For the most part, I'm out of Krishna consciousness. So what is it that causes that forgetfulness?
How many lifetimes have you been at being illusion? And how long does it take away to clear away that many lifetimes worth of illusion? Takes a long time to build up all that illusion. It takes a long time to remove it. Now, the power of bhakti is sufficient that it can be removed quickly, but it doesn't happen quickly. This question came up in Alachua. Ragatmika asked the question. Some of you may know Ragatmika. You know Ragatmika. She's a wonderful devotee, isn't she? So, in the beginning of Prahlad's teachings to his classmates, so this is Canto 7, Chapter 6, Prahlad says, even a small amount of devotional service is sufficient to carry one to the stage of perfection. So Ragatmika said, I've been practicing Krishna Bhakti for a long time, but just a second. And perfection seems really far away. So how to understand what Prahlad said and what I'm experiencing? There's nothing there's nothing less than perfection in the process of devotional service. But our eagerness to receive it and our application, both eagerness to receive the mercy and our application of the process, that's where the differential comes. So, same answer to your question. Each of us, most likely, have had some kind of what's called in ISKCON peak experiences. Something that has happened to us internally, where we have this realization, yes. And there's not always peak experiences. Sometimes it's other than peak experiences. So how to maintain those peak experiences? That's another way of asking your question, or people ask, how to maintain that, how to attain and maintain that higher. It's just the process of bhakti itself, and how we apply ourselves to the process of bhakti. So just like each of us that have come here to Gita Nagari, or any other particular activity or period of time or something, our experience is going to be different, and it'll stay with us to a greater or lesser degree, depending on our trajectory of spiritual life. And we're dependent. And we need to turn in the mood of dependence upon the supremely independent and make that connection. And we need some help along the way as well. Krishna's mercy through the medium of his merciful devotees. We'll see if we can get Gruda to come back here again sometime. Okay, one more question over here, and then I want to go to the song. Nandi Mukhi, way in the front. She always has these nice questions. And she never gets proud either.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, by your blessings and the blessings of devotees. Just one sharing. I think over the weekend, you and Garuda Prabhu has established a track record for Krishna as a series pride killer.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
killed the pride of the gopis, and according to Garuda Prabhu, the pride of Arjuna, and now is the pride of Indra. I think in particularly in this Leela, I think that Krishna may be, in terms of getting settled down Indra, Krishna perhaps is more enjoyed by having association with his devotee in Vrindavan, in the sense that he may kill the pride of Indra by any other ways that he can have, but now he chooses this particular incidents to curb the pride of Indra. I think that's like he's perhaps more enjoyed. He is more interested in having the association of all the different
yes,
types of devotees in Vrindavan.
yeah,
In one sense,
yeah,
and as well as just on top, in connection with the theme of the presentation today, I think as well as want to demonstrate Giri Govardhan as Hari-dāsa-varya.
yeah,
He, as we can see, that Govardhan externally withstood the Samvartaka attack for 7 days, which is wonderful.
yeah,
And on the other hand, he also provide a shelter for Krishna, for all the residents of Vrindavan to get together. And so it's from these two aspects, Krishna has certainly proved to his father that it's worthy of you to worship Govardhan rather than
Yeah.
worship Indra.
yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
They got lots of rain. The way Dinabandhu describes Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill, you get one of these number things of how many residents, how many cows, how many calves, how many bullock carts, how many this is and how many that's, and Govardhan isn't big enough. So but Govardhan expanded by the touch of Krishna's little finger of his left hand. He was in such ecstasy that his body expanded, for the purpose of Krishna, of course. But, everything is very nicely organized and maintained by Krishna expanding his mercy. And it's once again, it's merciful when Krishna removes the pride of his devotees, because he doesn't like pride. So Krishna removes the pride. And he does so in different ways. But we can count on the fact, A, we have pride. B, Krishna will remove it. And we're likely to say, ouch, when it happens, but Krishna is very kind. Okay, so we're going to go to the song. And our musical group can get themselves together. And I'll get the image up on the screen. So this is a song by Rupa Goswami from a collection of songs. Stavalala.
स्कन्दोज्ज्वलरुचिभरै मण्डिते बाहुदण्डे छत्रछायां दददहरिपोर्लब्धसप्ताहवासः धारापातग्लपितमनसां रक्षितगोकुलानां कृष्णप्रेयान् प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः कृष्णप्रेयान् प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः भीतो यस्मात् अपरिगणयन् बान्धवस्नेहबन्धान् सिन्धावदृष्ट्वरितम् अविशत् पार्वती पूर्वजोऽपि यस्तं जम्बूद्विषम् अकुरुत स्तम्भसंवेदशून्यं सप्रौढात्मा प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः सप्रौढात्मा प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः आविष्कृत्य प्रकटमुकुटा तोपमङ्गं स्तवीय शैलोऽस्मीति स्फुटमभिददत् तुष्टिविस्फारदृष्टिः यस्मै कृष्ण स्वयम् अरसयत् वल्लभैर्दत्तम् अन्नम् धन्यसोऽयं प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः धन्यसोऽयं प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः अद्याप्यूर्ज प्रतिपदि महान् भ्राजते यस्य यज्ञा कृष्णोपज्ञां जगति सुरभि सैरिभिः क्रीडयाद्य शष्पालम्बोत्तमततया यः कुटुम्बं पशूनां सोऽयं भूयः प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः सोऽयं भूयः प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः श्रीगान्धर्वा दयितसरसि पद्मसौरभ्यरत्नम् हृत्वा शङ्कोत्करपरवशै अश्वनं सञ्चरद्भिः अम्भक्षोद वातैर्जुष्टैः प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः वातैर्जुष्टैः प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः कंसाराते स्तरिविलसितैरातरानङ्गरङ्गैः आभीरीणां प्रणयम् अभित पात्रम् उन्मीलयन्त्या दौतग्रावावलिरम प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः वीचिव्रातैः प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः यस्याध्यक्ष सकलहतीनाम् आदते चक्रवर्ती शुक्लं नान्यद्व्रजमृगदृशाम् अर्पणाद्विग्रहस्य गत्तस्योच्चैर्मधुकररुचस्तस्य धाम प्रपञ्चैः श्यामः प्रस्थः प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः श्यामः प्रस्थः प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः गान्धर्वाया सुरतकलहो दामतावावधूकै क्लान्तश्रोत्रोत्पलवलयिभिः क्षिप्तपिञ्चावतंसैः कुञ्जैस्तल्पोपरिलुतत् वैजयन्ती परीतैः पुण्याङ्गश्री प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः पुण्याङ्गश्री प्रतयतु सदा शर्म गोवर्धनो नः यस्तुष्टात्मा स्फुटमनुपते श्रद्धया शुद्धयान्त मेद्यपत्यास्तकमचतुलः सुष्ठु गोवर्धनस्य सान्द्रं गोवर्धनधरपद द्वन्द्वशोणारविन्दे विन्दन् प्रेमोत्करमिह करोत्यद्रि राजेशवासम् विन्दन् प्रेमोत्कर इह करोत्यद्रिराजेशवासम् विन्दन् प्रेमोत्करमिह करोत्यद्रिराजेशवासम्
No. Some of you in the room may know the Govardhan Shilas here. They're Prahlad Shringas Govardhan Shilas. Okay, from Rupa Goswami's Stavamala, with a little violin and music in the background, I'm going to do a dramatic reading. May Govardhan Hill, which for 7 days became an umbrella shading Lord Krishna's arm, decorated with the luster of his dark shoulder, and which protected the people of Gokula, their hearts wilting because of the torrential rains, always delight us. When Indra frightened him Parvati's elder brother, Mount Mainaka, remembering the strength of family ties, hurriedly took shelter of the ocean. Powerful Govardhan Hill, however, was able to easily remove Indra's stubborn pride. I pray Govardhan Hill may always delight us all. Mixing Ram Leela with Krishna Leela. Lord Krishna manifested a mountain-like form, clearly proclaimed, I am the great mountain, and his eyes wide with pleasure ate the feast the cowherd men had offered to Govardhan Hill. May auspicious Govardhan Hill always delight us. The great worship Lord Krishna created for Govardhan Hill is at the beginning of the Kartik, is splendidly manifest even today. Govardhan Hill is wealthy with the pastimes of the Surabhi cows and buffaloes, and it nourishes them with its excellent grass. I pray that Govardhan Hill may always delight us. Stealing the precious jewel of the fragrance of the lotuses of growing in Radha's favorite lake, the frightening breezes blowing on Govardhan Hill silently flee. Oh, they are pursued by drops of water, who are watchmen guarding the lake. I pray that Govardhan Hill may always delight us. The celestial Manasa Ganga River, which, with the Lord's Danakeli and boating pastimes, reveals the gopis' pure love for Lord Krishna, washes the stones of Govardhan Hill with its pure waves. I pray that Govardhan Hill may always delight us. The toll station on Govardhan Hill is dark with the splendor of many black bees. The all-powerful king who guards the toll station did not take any butter from the doe-eyed girls of Vraja when they resisted him. I pray that Govardhan Hill may always delight us. Govardhan Hill is very beautiful with Srimati Radharani's arrogant words in the lovers' quarrel, and with the forest groves filled with wilted lotus earrings, rejected peacock feather crowns, and Vajayanti garlands on beds. I pray that Govardhan Hill may always delight us. May a person who with faith, attention, and a pure and cheerful heart reads these 8 verses, glorifying Govardhan Hill, reside by that king of mountains, and find there intense, pure love for the red lotus feet of the lifter of Govardhan Hill. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Giriraj, Jai Govardhan ki Gaur Premanandi. We'll see you all tomorrow if you're here tomorrow. Maybe some persons are going to go elsewhere, but